I had overplayed my hand. There was no way that this protest was going to go smoothly. With 50-plus kids set to leave campus all at the same time to go to a charged environment, all it would take was one misstep, one fool to mess everything up and send us crumbling. All I could think of was how my efforts to increase the political participation at our school were going to fail. Little did I realize the power that I had marshaled together. I can still remember how when I got back from Florida the day after Easter, I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. Because of my vacation, I still hadn't watched a documentary I had to for homework. Needless to say, I wasn't exactly looking forward to it. However, it was through this assignment that I first learned about the Serbian Otpor movement. Even before I had been exposed to Otpor, I had still been a staunch pacifist. I had proudly claimed that I would sit in jail if drafted, and the only time I have ever struck someone in the past 4 years was when I punched a friend as a joke when he claimed that I wouldn't do it. However, I never called for a practical alternative to war. Just war theory still seemed necessary to me. War was the only way sometimes, even if I would wash my hands of it like Pilate at the execution of Jesus. But Otpor showed me that there was more to nonviolence than a lack of violence. As I learned more about the movement, Sergej Popovich, Gene Sharp, and other nonviolent movements across the world, I saw dictators known for violent oppression toppled without the use of force. In spite of having next to no, if any, military or policing power, these movements were still able to drum up the pressure necessary for the removal of tyrants. And the most amazing part was that no one fool messed it all up. Nonviolent resistance brought out the best in people, and it took the best in people to win the day. Having seen this, I had no choice but to re-examine my views. Was war ever really needed? It was then that I turned to the Gospels. And this search brought me right back to the story of Jesus and the adulterer. It is a pretty simple story. During Jesus' ministry, a woman had been caught as an adulteress and was brought out to be stoned, as was the law of the time. Jesus saw the situation and began drawing on the ground, distracting the mob. He then declared that he without sin should throw the first stone, disarming the crowd and saving the woman. This is a famous story, but when truly examined beat by beat, it becomes an inspirational and radical example set by Jesus. First, there is Jesus' initial response to the situation. He draws in the ground, a seemingly strange task that immediately distracts and disarms the mob. This is exactly the kind of active nonviolence seen in Otpor, which use humorous demonstrations to de-escalate tense situations. The most amazing part of the story, though, is that his famous declaration has a shocking undertone to it. Jesus is without sin. He is the one who can cast the first stone. But he doesn't. This is an act of radical nonviolence and radical mercy, and it moves the crowd. They disperse. Jesus has changed these hearts. When you force someone to do something, there is always the risk that they will choose something else, something that they want to do, something that serves their interests. But when you make someone want to do something, then you have truly secured their help. That day, our walkout went perfectly as planned, and I felt astonished by the result. How no one managed to mess it up was beyond me. Although, had I properly used Jesus in history as a guide, I would not have been surprised at all. I struggled for so long to make a change as a passive pacifist, but this class has taught me that the first word is not always needed for the second, and now I am ready to go forth and set the world on fire.